How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Sydney Sweeney. I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney, Hasbro jeans.
You see what I did there, right?
My friend is away today, back tomorrow, and the next day was, I promised to get him next day, and it was a promise the next day. For some reason or other, my friend fell in a hole, fell into quicksand, was taken up by Martians, whatever.
This is the plaintiff, Richard Novick. He says he's a veterinarian, and the defendant brought his very sick dog to him for his help. He told the guy the overweight dog needed to be x-rayed and referred him to another vet who had a larger x-ray machine. A few days later, the defendant brought his dog to him for an emergency call at 10:30 p.m., but unfortunately, the dog was already dead. He ended up abandoning the body. He kept the thing in his freezer, and now the guy's stiffing him on the $421 he owes him. This is the defendant, Thomas. He says the plaintiff's a pet quack who did nothing to treat his beloved 13-year-old pit bull named Crystal, who died due to his neglect. The plaintiff's caused tremendous pain and suffering to his family. They miss Crystal dearly, and the plaintiff should be ashamed of himself because he did nothing to save her. He's accused of stiffing a vet. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $5,000 for pain and suffering.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Richard Novick?
Yes.
Dr. Novick, you are suing Thomas. You've asked us not to mention your last name, and we'll respect that, for $586 in vet bills that you say he has not paid you for an animal that passed away. You are counterclaiming $5,000 for pain and suffering. Let me hear from you, Dr. Novick.
Okay, Thomas brought his dog into me, was having problems breathing, dyspnea.
Okay.
Upon examination of the dog.
What kind of dog is this?
This is a pit bull, an older pit bull, somewhere around 10 years of age.
Okay.
The dog is grossly overweight and was having problems breathing. Upon listening to the chest, I heard fluid sounds, probably from a heart condition. I said that the dog was really too big for me to x-ray. My machine probably wouldn't be able to.
How big was the dog? Show me with your hands.
Dog was about 100 pounds, and it was very, very, very heavy.
Okay. Now, had you been seeing the dog? The dog was how old, you say?
Probably around 10, 11
and had
years
you
old.
been, would you please put your hand down? It will be, you're going to disagree with everything he says. It will be your turn. Okay. Now, the dog had been your patient for?
Yeah, I was treating the dog for probably 2 or 3 years.
Okay. So he brings you the dog in January. You tell him that you think the dog has a heart condition,
Right.
and do you refer him to a specialist?
I referred him to I told him he should see a specialist.
Okay. Do you have the notes from that visit?
Yes, I do.
May I see it?
Yes.
Hand it to my bailiff. Thank you. So
you have a copy.
Yeah, I know. I like to see the originals. Is this another copy, or is it the original?
This original.
Do you dictate anything? How does it's just a piece of paper with writing on it?
I write it down.
All right, and very old school.
Very old school.
Yeah. So that was January 8th. On February 17th.
No, but prior to that, I called Thomas and asked him how the dog was doing. And they told me the dog wasn't doing well. The breathing wasn't that much better.
Right.
And I said, well, you probably should take it to a specialist or back to me at least so I could see it. Now, I put the dog on.
Now, he hadn't paid for the January 8th visit?
No.
So then on February 17th, what happened?
Then about 10:30 at night, I get a call, a panic call. I'm outside your place. The dog is very, very sick. I have to bring him in. So I said, all right. So I opened the door, and what happened was I tried to help him carry the dog, and the dog was so heavy that I actually fell down. He had I have to hand it to Tommy. He picked the whole dog and carried the dog in by himself. The dog was about 100 pounds. Put it on the table, examined the dog. It was a faint heartbeat, no breathing. The dog, that was it. The dog died right then and there.
Okay.
And then
go ahead.
I said, Tommy, I have facilities to have the dog cremated. And Tommy says, no, I want to have the dog buried. I had to have someone who has a golf course and have a backhoe and this and that. So so I put the dog. I have a freezer.
A golf course? Someone's going to bury the dog in a golf course?
Well, that's what he told me.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway,
so you put the dog in a freezer.
I put in a bag, right, and put him in the freezer.
The freezer. You have a freezer for precisely this purpose.
Yes.
Okay.
And every day he would call me and give me another excuse, saying that my friend is away today, he'll be back tomorrow, and the next day was, I promise I'll get him next day, and it was a promise the next day. For some reason or other, my friend fell in a hole, fell into quicksand, was taken up by Martians, whatever. But there were different excuses. Every day was a different excuse. I said, Tommy, this was after 10 days. I said, Tommy, if you don't pick up your dog by this Wednesday, I'm going to have him cremated, and it'll be $200. And he never called me, never told me anything, so they cremated the dog.
Okay. Did you ever hear from Tom again?
No.
Okay, let me hear from you. Can you stop staring him down and talk to me?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. It's just, you're right. I disagree with every single thing that he said. No, 99.9% of everything that this man just said is absolute lie.
Okay.
First of all, the dog was 8 years old. 8. Not 10, not 13. She was 8 years old. She did have an incontinence problem because she had been a rescue. They had used her for breeding. She was a very pretty dog and a big bone dog. So when they...
How'd she end up as a rescue if they used her for breeding?
They were using her to breed fighting dogs. They were trying to breed large fighting dogs. If you'd like to see some pictures of the dog, that's my son there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Being as Mr. Novick was in the neighborhood, I eventually started getting...
Okay, so you went to him in January because the dog had some trouble breathing.
Absolutely not true.
Okay, what did you go there in January for?
In January, I picked up her Proin. It's for incontinence.
Did you bring your dog in?
No.
Okay. Was your dog having breathing problems?
My dog developed breathing problems like approximately February 18th.
Okay.
He very briefly examined the dog. I wouldn't call it an examination. And he said that he believed she had a heart problem or an infection. He actually gave me some antibiotics that he had in his office. And I said that he believed it was a heart problem. And I said, well, what do I do? And he said, well, I'm going to find a bigger machine to take an X-ray. I said, well, is it a heart problem? Is it an X-ray? He said, it could be either, but
Wait.
He said, I think...
X-ray's not a problem that the dog has. Clearly, this vet could not treat your dog for the problem. Did you take your dog to another vet?
No, we were taking the dog. We were actually in the car on the night the dog passed away, taking the dog to an emergency vet.
Right, but I mean, if you saw him, how many days passed between the time you saw him and the time...
4 days.
How many days?
4.
Okay, why didn't, during the day, when it's cheaper, why didn't you just take the dog to another vet?
Because I was trying the antibiotics that he gave me that he said it was some kind of an infection.
Okay. So now it's the 9th.
In the interim, a few days passed, the antibiotics did nothing. The dog obviously had something in her throat. We were on our way to an emergency veterinary clinic. My son said the dog had stopped breathing. We were a block and a half, literally, from his office. I called him to see if he would answer the phone because I was going to try and do an emergency trach on the dog, but I didn't want to do it in front of my child. So I called his office. He was a block and a half away. He answered the phone. I said, I'm coming with my dog. I'll be there, downstairs in 2 minutes, please. I got there. He came out and tried to assist me carrying the dog. But he wasn't able to walk, and he fell down on the street, literally dragging the dog with him onto the sidewalk, which is what my son was witnessed. I got the dog up and brought him inside, brought her, it's a female, her.
Okay.
You treated the dog for 4 years.
Talk to me, please.
When I got her inside and got her on the table, I believe she still had a faint heartbeat, but he said that there was nothing, that she had a massive heart attack and she was dead. And, you know, I guess I conceded that she wasn't, you know, her heart had stopped by that point, but it was like a struggle to get the dog extricated from him on the sidewalk. After that, we put the dog in the freezer. I told him I wanted to have the dog buried in the, you know.
In a golf course?
Well, a friend of mine owned a golf course, and they volunteered to let the dog be buried in the golf course because the dog was an extremely unusual dog.
Was the dog a pit bull?
The dog was an Alaskan pit bull, is what I was told she is.
Was she overweight at the time?
She had gained weight. She was a very large dog since we first had her. But then I tried to get the dog. And I went to his office repeatedly, and he wasn't there. And I called him, and he said he would be there, and he wasn't there. Then there came a night of the 25th.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Hold on. Go ahead.
The night of the 25th, I told him I wanted to get the dog, and he said he would be there. I went there. He was not there. I waited over an hour and a half.
The guy lives there. Like the night you needed him when he was on 2 seconds notice, he came right down.
An hour and a half I waited by his office. Eventually he showed up. He got out of a car. He dragged 2 black plastic bags across the street. And I asked him what he had what was in the bags, and of course it was pets that he had put to sleep. Then for some reason, the car that had dropped him off drove away. For some reason, he thought that they were still there, and he went back across the street, and there was a car there with children in the back seat, and he tried to get into the car.
Object. That's irrelevant.
It doesn't matter that you object because you don't like his testimony.
It's irrelevant.
I'll be the judge of whether it's relevant or not after I hear it.
He went around. He tried to get in one side, then he went around and he tried to get in the other side. But at that point, the father got out of the car and started screaming at him. And I realized that something was very, very radically wrong. Then he started to come across the street, and there was traffic. There was cars coming down the street 50 miles an hour. And to be honest with you, Your Honor, I hesitated for a minute because I was very angry at that point. But I screamed at him, and I ran, and I pushed him out of the way of an oncoming vehicle. And then I said to him that I believed he was using drugs and that he had neglected my dog because he was using drugs. And I was so angry, I wanted to hit him, so I walked away. I got a phone call from him at 10:30 that night. This was at about 9 o'clock.
I mean, I don't know what to do, but I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have you do it disposed of. I can't keep you doing it any longer. You come here, you walk away, you don't call and say you're going to call. You're acting like a junkie, is what you're acting like. I've known junkies that act better than you. So, anyway, either call me or my fear exists, okay? Just forget me, okay? The door will be disposed of, and you and I don't know each other any longer, okay? Okay, so either call me or don't call me.
Okay.
This is the message I got from him.
Now, that doesn't sound like a guy who kept missing appointments with you. It sounds like a guy who kept calling you and you weren't returning calls from, because he says right on that recording, you don't call, I don't know what to do, dog can't just stay here. I mean, you do concede it's rather unusual to leave your dead dog there all that time.
Your Honor, what I concede is that I had just accused this man of using drugs, and an hour and a half later, he's calling me a junkie on my phone. Your Honor, right now, I challenge this man to take a blood test or a urine test or a hair sample. I'll pay for it.
Okay.
And I'll take one myself right now.
Okay, we're not going to do that.
Your Honor, could I just finish? He left this message at 10:30 at night. This incident happened approximately 9 o'clock. He says the dog will be disposed of.
What were you doing there at 9 o'clock?
I was going to get the dog.
Why didn't you just get the dog then?
Because I was going to hit him by that point because he was so stoned, and I realized that his being stoned contributed to my dog being dead.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So I have a good question, I believe. Who has a better bedside manner generally, human doctors or vets?
Probably veterans.
What? Veterans. I don't mean veterans, I mean veterinarians. Oh my God. I'm going back inside. I'm dead. I just can't do this.
I called at 8 a.m. He said my dog had already been disposed of.
Do you have proof that you called at 8 a.m.?
I don't know if I have proof on. I don't think I have it on the phone. I should have records, but I don't have it.
Yeah, but it'll be right in your cell phone.
No, I have too many calls, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I say something?
No, well, I'm done. Here's how it works, okay? The first thing that happens is he has to prove that you owe him money. Then your defense to that is, I shouldn't have to pay for any of this stuff because he's a stoner and he probably killed my dog. But you have to prove that defense. You have to have evidence that something he did or failed to do was such a standard of care that was so below the industry standard that it caused your dog to die, okay? And that your dog didn't die of health issues. Okay, no, stop and listen to me. So not only can you not prove that the dog died because of him, but there are 100 other reasons that the dog could have died, most likely of which is that the dog had a bad ticker. And, I don't want you to fault yourself in not taking the dog in those 4 days because you were hoping the antibiotics would work. I don't want you to fault yourself in not getting the dog in 10 or 11 days afterwards because the dog was, cremated and, that's, you can pray for the dog in your own tiny little whatever you build for it. But how is it that stuff is his fault, that you can prove it's his fault, so that not only do you not have to pay your bills, but you collect $5,000? And the answer is you can't.
Well, Your Honor, I guess we have a difference of opinion. I think that I checked with at least 20 veterinarians. Although there's no standard of procedures for a situation like this, every single one of them said that this dog should have had at least, at a minimum, some blood work.
Of course.
And an exam.
Sure.
My dog,
So why didn't you take your dog to another vet? Stop. This dog could not get an exam because according to him, he didn't have the capability of x-raying the dog. Look, you know where you're taking your dog to. This could work just fine, this arrangement, with this kind of small-time doctor who does all his own stuff out of his house. It could work because, frankly, vet bills are astronomical sometimes. I understand that. But when you have a dog who's breathing kind of heavy, maybe what you needed to do is take him to another vet and shoot the lock off your wallet. And when you don't do that, you cannot fault the small hometown vet that you have been going to. You know the x-ray didn't happen that day. There is nothing else to discuss. Put your hand down, you are done. So I find you liable for $421 in vet bills. As to your pain and suffering counterclaim, 0. That is my judgment.
Hold on.
Well, to feel in your gut that it's his fault and to actually prove it are two different things. Here, step around this way, turn this way, and tell me, what's your reaction to how things went down?
I don't think they worked out well. I think that there should be some standard for veterinarians. I don't believe that this man had my dog cremated. I believe if anyone looks in the newspaper, at approximately that time, they found trash bags with burning dogs in them in Brooklyn. And I wouldn't put nothing past him at this point.
How much do you miss? Let me ask him, how much do you miss the dog?
For a drug test.
I miss the dog, but I try not to think about it. There's a lot of stuff to do, but it was so weird. He just dropped the
my
dog. He didn't.
My dog was still alive. He dropped my dog on the floor because he couldn't walk.
I don't think that helped.
Okay, head right around this way. Come on out here, sir. All right, step right in here. How do you think you come out looking in this whole deal?
Well, I think it was a fair decision. The reason I dropped his dog weighed about 100 pounds, and I had the heavy part, the rear end of the dog, and I tripped. But
not your finest hour in the treatment of this dog, or was there nothing you could do?
I told him initially that the dog should be seen to a specialist, and he didn't want to spend the money. That's what it was.
And you couldn't take care of it.
I didn't have the facility. The dog was just too big. I didn't have the facilities for doing that.
All right, Harvey.
Okay, this is a case where experts are essential. You're basically trying to prove malpractice against a doctor. You cannot do that without expert testimony. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
When kids don't play, they grow up without creativity. They'll try to blend in and wear chinos. Or worse, polyester chinos. Good thing Gushers, Fruit by the Foot, and Fruit Roll-Ups are made to be played with. You better be playing.
This is the plaintiff, Rosemary Masana. She says she and the defendant moved in together and split the costs of the apartment they rented. One day, the defendant sends her a text saying she needs to move out, and now she's faced with coming up with the whole rent herself or moving out and paying a hefty penalty. The defendant let her down big time, has left her in really bad shape, and she has no other choice but to sue her for the $5,000 she's now going to be on the hook for. This is the defendant, Danielle Armoya. She says she invited one of her best friends over after a bad storm, and the plaintiff hooked up with him and never left. The two of them took over the whole apartment, making it unbearable to live there. The guy didn't contribute anything to the apartment, never paid any rent, and that's not right. Owe her money when she was the one who forced her out? She's accused of running out on a roommate.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. These litigants live together. The plaintiff says the defendant bailed, leaving her high and dry. But the defendant says the plaintiff hooked up with one of her friends and literally squeezed her out. It's the case of leaving with a bang.
Thank you, Douglas.
Welcome.
Okay. Rosemary Masana?
Yes.
You are suing Danielle, how do I pronounce your last name?
Armoya.
Armoya. For $5,000, according to you, you are actually damaged in excess of that statutory maximum. For rent, because she bailed on you and left you with the whole rent payment. So she was your roommate. How did you two meet?
We've been friends since high school back in 2000.
Okay, so you decided to live together when?
We decided in January of this year. We were looking for an apartment together. We signed the lease January 25th.
That was going to go until the next January?
Until January 24th, 2014.
Okay, were either of you students at the time?
No.
All right, so so you go along and everything's fine until it's not. What went wrong?
She got into nursing school, and she told me, I can't pay for the rent anymore because school's more important to me.
Okay, so when did she move out?
In the end of May.
All right, and nursing school was starting when?
September.
But she had to save up money or something? All right, how does she tell you I'm leaving?
Basically through text message that I'm leaving this weekend. It's the only time my boyfriend and my father can come pick up my stuff.
Okay, can you show me the text messages? What happened?
I got into nursing school in April. I decided because I can't get any financial aid, I have to pay for it all by myself. It's a $1,700 bill. So I could no longer pay the rent. It was either paying the rent or not paying the rent or not going to school.
Right.
For me, school is more important.
Sure.
It's my life.
Right. But,
But we had come to an agreement that I was no longer to pay the rent, and I was just to pay her what I had owed her for the moving in cost.
Oh, because you still owed her other money?
I owed her money because when we first moved in, we moved in a little earlier than I expected. She laid out the money for me.
That's like already a bad sign. How much money do you owe her for moving costs?
Right now, I only owe her $800.
Is that accurate?
$883.
Yes, I'm sorry,
$883.
That's accurate.
She stopped paying in July. She paid every week from the time she moved out. And
Yeah, you stopped paying because she sued you for the rent. Because
No,
she's suing you about
no,
the
no.
rent. Why don't you, listen, what she wants, she's asking for a lot of money. She's asking for your portion of the rent for 8 months, even though you're not living there.
Right.
Right. And what efforts did you, and your defense is, hey, I have no defense, okay? But there is one defense she has, even if she doesn't know about it, and it's, why so much, Judge? And here's why. Because in the eyes of the law, even though there's an agreement between the two of you that she's not going to leave you hanging, there's also an obligation on your part to do something rather than just sit back. You got to mitigate your damages. Okay? What efforts did you make to get another
I had
roommate?
asked a few friends at work that I know they have good jobs because I'm a nurse. They're all nurses, and they were living home, and they didn't want to move out of their home to pay $765 a month plus utilities.
Who lives? Did he? Is this the boyfriend?
It says.
Okay. Did he move in?
He moved in because she asked him to move in to help pay out the rent, and I said that the rent is between me and her. If he wants to move in, he can pay the utilities. That would help her and me save a couple $100 a month. The agreement was not between him to pay any part of the rent whatsoever because he was contributing money at his house, and I couldn't ask him to pay more than that to move in. And I only knew him for 2 months, and they've been
Why is he
friends for
moving in
years.
anyway then?
To help.
Did you know him?
Yes, we have been friends for about 6 years. He has been one of my best friends for about 6 years.
Okay, but nothing romantic between you two?
Nothing. We never dated.
Okay.
We never dated.
Okay.
But
were you surprised in any way that they started dating, or that didn't bother you?
it didn't bother me that they started dating. It was more or less the fact that the snowstorm that we had in February, that huge snowstorm we had down in New York, I had asked him to stay for a couple of days because I thought it would be fun because I was moving out, having my own apartment, and we were hanging out all the time. And ever since that snowstorm ended, he practically never left my house, which was fine. They started getting close. Next thing I knew, they started dating. Was I upset? No, I wasn't upset. I could care less. It had come to a point, it had questioned to me if I was jealous because there has been something between me and him in the past.
Oh.
And I said, no, I could care less anymore. I have my own boyfriend who I'm extremely happy with. I don't care that they're dating. It was more the fact that he was at my house every day. I would come home, he was there. He was there all the time. So in my head, I was like, if you're gonna stay here all the time, eat dinner here, watch TV, do everything, contribute. So when I decided I couldn't afford to live there anymore, I had run it past them. I had talked to Rosemary about it and said, well, maybe we can ask Ruben to move in. So
you mean instead of you?
Instead of, and when I moved out, I had asked him.
You didn't mean ask him to move in
while I was there, no.
And then we both pay less rent. You meant ask him to move in your place.
So that I can move out. And we did talk about it where he can only pay the utilities because I do know that he was still living at home and he was giving rent to his grandmother. I do understand that. But then they said in July that he would, in June that he would stop paying his grandmother and move in. It did come down to the fact that he was only going to pay the utilities in the house and she was going to take over the rent.
But you had already moved out in May.
I moved out in May. I paid all of May.
You didn't pay the June rent?
No, I paid. He moved in.
All right, come on up.
So, anybody here actually have a really good friend and you move in together and it just totally blows up? You have. What happened?
Absolutely. Well, he ran out of money, started eating all my food, drinking all my beer, and ran out of rent money.
Yeah, you got me at the beer part. Why do good friends often just blow up when they move in together? Why do you think?
I think it's because they take advantage of the friendship, so they feel like they're entitled to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's what.
I think you nailed it. I think that's exactly right. Going inside the courtroom.
Are you paying rent?
No.
For this place?
No.
Are you paying rent with your grandmother?
No, I live there.
You're living here?
Yes.
Are you living with your grandmother?
No.
Are you paying rent with your grandmother?
No.
Are you paying rent here?
I pay the utilities here.
Why don't you pay some rent? If you're living there and you're no longer paying your grandmother, why isn't he just paying rent where you guys are?
Because that wasn't the agreement at first.
Well, at some point, maybe it should become the agreement, honey. I mean, it is what it is. If that's if that's what you choose to do instead of getting a roommate, do it. But that's why I'm cutting off your damages at a certain point, because there's still an obligation on your part to mitigate damages. So I'm going to order her to pay you 3 months, June, July, and August, which should give you, I think that 3 months is enough time to find an acceptable roommate. I don't think a day is, but I think 3 months is. I am also going to award you the $883 that she has admitted to owing you, so that'll be 3 months rent at $765 plus the $883 for a total judgment in your favor of $3,178. Good luck, folks.
So the plaintiff has collected not everything she sued for, but let's see what the defendant has to say about the outcome here. What are you thinking about it?
I'm just glad it's over.
Mm-hmm. How difficult was it to have to live there with the presence of the boyfriend?
Difficult.
For what reason? Because he was...
It was just because he was there all the time. It just was uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was living in a bedroom.
Are you okay? I see some tears starting there.
Okay.
What's going through your mind there? Why is that happening? What are you thinking?
I just lost 2 of my best friends.
Right. That's a long friendship. 12 years? Longer?
About that since 13 years.
Is it definitely a total loss, or maybe not? All right. Head right down this way. Sorry about that. All right, come on in here. Is this friendship a total loss? She's in tears already.
I don't know. Probably.
Really? Mm-hmm. You have any intention of reaching out to her at this point?
I tried to even work things out before she even left and moved out.
Well, now that this is over, it might be different, a little easier, possibly.
Possibly, but I don't think I'll ever be what it was.
Mm-hmm. You think you should be paying some rent?
Yeah, we'll work that out.
Okay. Harvey?
So big decisions you make with a roommate, big decisions about living together should be memorialized in some kind of an email. I'm telling you, it will preserve the friendship. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the plaintiff, Richard Moore. He says his neighbor, the defendants, allowed their teenage son to have a party one night, and some of the teens spilled out of the house at 11 p.m. and into his front yard where they caused damage. That's right, these foolish kids thought it would be a good idea to throw rocks at one another, and one of them broke her front window. The defendants took responsibility and told the cops they'd take care of the damages, but haven't, so here they are. He's suing for $900, the amount owed for the window and loss of work. These are the defendants, Nicholas, Nasir, and Brashawn Mobley. Nicholas says his kids didn't break any window, and the incident occurred after the party was over. He was willing to help out the investigation in any way he could, and he did indeed find out who the culprit was. But the plaintiff went ahead and sued him anyway. Bottom line, he doesn't know why the plaintiff's blaming him, and he's not paying for something neither he nor his kids did. He's accused of letting a party get out of control.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiffs say that his neighbors allowed their teenage son to throw a party and some of the hooligans broke his window. But the defendants say no one from the party threw the rock through the window, but he knows who did. It's the case of You Rock My World.
Thank you, Douglas.
Welcome in.
Richard Moore, you are suing Nicholas, Nasir, and Brashawn Mobley for $900, the amount owed to fix a window and time lost from work to try to resolve this. Tell me what happened. You're Nicholas?
I am.
You are?
Brashawn.
And you are?
Nasir.
And you are his son, her son also?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, on the night of July 27th, around 11:30 p.m., I received a phone call from my daughter. I was just a few minutes away from home saying that a group of kids were outside throwing rocks and a rock had went through the window. She was there with the police and they needed me to come right home. So upon getting there, I spoke with the officer that was there. She said she had just left Mr. Mobley's house, where the teens that were involved in the rock throwing incident, Mr. Mobley said that he would take care of the damages that were...
Wait, back it up. Where's your daughter?
My daughter's right here.
Come on up. Tell me what happens.
I was home.
And you're how old?
I'm 24.
Okay.
I was home and I looked out the window. I just heard kids. They were kind of loud. It was
And
late.
it was what time of night?
This was about midnight.
Okay.
So I heard the kids. Eventually, about 5 minutes later, the window shatters. The dog barks. There was a rock in the living room. So once I heard the kids still laughing, I kind of figured that it was safe for me to go out. So I just ran out and I saw the kids dashing away.
Okay.
So I just got into my car.
And you followed them?
And I followed the kids as I was calling the police.
Oh my gosh. Did the kids know you were following them?
They did.
And what happened? They're running and you're speeding?
They're running and I'm speeding.
And speeding up, and then what happened?
I just told the police, hey, I'm on 142nd Street. These kids just crashed my parents' front window.
How many kids were there?
It was about 15.
Oh, there were 15 kids that you were chasing in the car?
Yes.
Wow. I don't know if I like the idea of you chasing them. I'm impressed, but I'm not sure. It's like, what if,
I was kind of pleased.
I mean, they were how old? How old are you?
I'm 14 years old.
Oh, I'd chase the 14-year-olds. All right. Yeah. Although you just never know. But anyway, so what happens? The police get there.
The police get there, and they said that they had 3 of the kids. And they told me to just go back to the house. So that's when I just called my dad and told him what happened. And the police officer met me in front of my parents' house.
And told you what? By then you come.
Right, by then I'm there, and I speak with the officer that took the report and that spoke with Mr. Mobley. She told me that there was a party that the Mobleys were hosting for their child, and that he explained to them, well, actually, she was going to give him a ticket for allowing the kids to be out after curfew because they were all...
In your town, there's a curfew at what time?
10:30. She said that in agreement, because Mr. Mobley said that he would take care of all the damages that were caused by these minors, that there would be no tickets issued and that she would take none of the...
Who was she going to issue a ticket to?
She was going to issue a ticket to Mr. Mobley for...
Because what kids were out after
Because
curfew?
the kids that were
His
at
own
the parties...
kids?
Well, I can only assume.
Where do you get the information you're saying? The officer told you that night?
I spoke with the officer personally. This is what she told me.
Is there a report the officer filled out?
Yes, I do have a copy of the report.
Let me see the report. What's going on, Mr. Mobley?
On the evening, how you doing, Judge? On the evening in question, we had a party for my sons. They have a rap group, a couple other kids from the neighborhood. So all the kids were hanging out. At approximately 11 p.m., we ended the party. I'd say maybe 30 minutes later, the police came. So I see them with them, and I say, well, what's the problem?
He's a twin?
Yeah, he's a twin. His brother.
Okay, so when you say they, you mean the twins? You asked them, did you guys break a window?
Yes. I asked them, did they break a window? They said no.
What do these kids do? Why don't I ask you, rather than putting your father on the spot like this, what were you kids up to, laughing, throwing rocks at each other, and ended up breaking somebody's window?
I didn't break a window. I didn't walk with the group. I walked with my friend to Shepherd.
Okay, what kids were in the group?
I don't know their names, but...
they were at your party. Of course you know their name.
Yeah, they were walking towards
I didn't ask were they flying or walking. I asked what were their names.
So the defendants let the son throw a party, and somebody at the party maybe threw the rock. Is the defendant responsible to the plaintiff for the window?
I would say yes, because if you allowed your son or daughter to throw a party and it's foreseeable that someone would throw something through...
Stop. That's the question. Is it really foreseeable that somebody's going to throw a rock? That's the question. Is it foreseeable?
No, I disagree. I think the thrower of the rock is the one who's responsible.
The thrower. Is the homeowner responsible?
No, I think the thrower is responsible.
I love that we've created this new word, the throw. The throw up is responsible, going inside the courtroom.
Who got to the bottom of it? Yeah, switch with your mom. Okay.
No, you can.
How did you can stay there.
Good, you can stay.
Okay, so how'd you find out?
Okay, so I called Mr. Moore and I talked to him. I asked him if he could give me a couple of days to find out what happened. I explained to him that my twins didn't do it. I was for sure that they did not break his window. He agreed. He said, that he would give me a couple of days. I then started investigating. I went around asking kids, had my twins to ask kids as well, and we came up with the person who did it. I talked to the kid's mom.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, she said, I already know what happened. I take full responsibility. She wrote a letter.
Really?
The
Let me
thing
see.
is,
Did you tell him all that?
I actually left him a voicemail message, but I think it wasn't in a timely fashion for him when I did leave the voicemail stating that I got in touch, with the mother. And the thing with her...
What do you mean it wasn't in a timely fashion?
Because remember, I talked to him the day after the party. That's when I talked to him. And I asked him,
July, August, September. Yeah, it's 2 months later. My son and his friends... Welcome from a party. There was horse playing. My son accidentally broke a window. When I was...
But I actually
agreed I would take responsibility. No, agreeing to take responsibility means you pick up the phone, you call Mr. Moore, and you tell him I understand my kid did wrong by you, and you work out a payment plan. You don't say something to you and then you say nothing to him, and then that's how you end up getting sued.
And exactly.
Your Honor, when I spoke with Mr. Mobley on Sunday morning, and he was very sympathetic. He's like, hey, I'm sorry for what happened. I spoke with the police. I did say that I was going to be held responsible for the damages to your window. How about I come over to your place and see the window? Give me about an hour or so.
Okay, that happened?
Not at all.
I
told the police officer...
Do you have a police report where it
Yes,
says...
I do.
Wait, I'm sorry. This is a police report. Hold on one second. Okay. And it clearly says here in the police report that you told the police that you would take full responsibility.
They wanted me to take that responsibility, and like I told him, I gave him my number and said I would find out.
Well, Your Honor, when I spoke with...
Here's the thing. No, I'm going to assume that he told the police I'll take care of it. What you have to understand is that that's not the be-all, end-all. I know how people always think, well, he said he'd take care of it. He's got to take care of it now. But you're in a pretty lucky situation. I'm handing this to you. This is going home with you.
Okay.
Where you'll be able to sue the appropriate party. So, to cover all your bases, you sue this child and you sue that child's parent. Who's sitting here writing a confession, right? This is the confession she wrote for your behalf to get you out of your problem here today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So based on the facts of this case, I can't hold them responsible. I rule in favor of the defendant, but I'm sure there'll be a part 2 to this one. Good luck, okay?
Thank
you, listen, okay? Tell your renegade daughter to stay inside the house. It's kind of crazy. You don't know if they had rocks still in their pocket. They're going to turn around and peg a rock at you or something. I mean, it's just a window at the end. She's worth a lot more than $480.
Yeah,
I'll say. All right, good luck, folks.
Thank you.
All right, so under these circumstances, the judge cannot rule in your favor, and you understand why according to the law, right?
Well, I understand. I was a little disappointed. I felt that it showed a lot of negligence on his part as far as not being in control of the minors that was at his party. But
it's a different issue than who broke the window. And so what are you going to do from here?
I'm going to take the information that's provided to me, and I'm going to take it up with that parent.
All right, right down this way.
Sir, come in.
And so you come on in here and tell me you set aside how this comes out?
Well, I'm pleased with the verdict. My son, from day one, said he didn't break the window, and when we came to the bottom of it, we tried to do what any responsible parent would do and make sure that the things would be handled. I'm a homeowner as well, so I can understand how Mr. Moore would feel. But again, my children didn't break the window, and I don't feel I should be held responsible.
Okay. Harvey? So the bottom line here is that the defendant didn't throw the rock, the kid didn't throw the rock, and they're not responsible if somebody inside the party does some jerky thing. However, if, for example, that the person who threw the rock got really drunk in the party and the defendant just kept plying him with alcohol and plying him with alcohol, and the guy was threatening and being just out of control and plying him with alcohol, situation might be a little bit different.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Alien Earth, the official podcast. Each week, host Adam Rogers is joined by guests, including the show's creator, cast, and crew, in this exclusive companion podcast. They will explore story elements, deep dive into character motivations, and offer an episode-by-episode behind-the-scenes breakdown of each terrifying chapter in this new series. Search FX's Alien Earth wherever you listen to podcasts.